Hi y'all, I'm Lita Gore, filling in for Ike Morgan for today's Down in Alabama. Before we get going, there's a bit of macabre history that has an Alabama tie I'd like to share today. It was this week in 1865 that 4 conspirators tied to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln were executed in Washington, D.C. The 4 included Mary Surratt, the first woman executed in the U.S. Also among them was Lewis Powell, and that's where the Alabama connection comes in. Lewis Powell was born in Randolph County, Alabama on April 22, 1844 to a Baptist minister and his wife. His family moved to Florida where Lewis joined the Confederate Army at 17. He later became a member of the Confederate Secret Service where he met John Surratt, who would be involved in the conspiracy to assassinate Lincoln. Surratt was the one who introduced Powell to Lincoln assassin John Wilkes Booth. Powell was assigned to take co-conspirator David Harold to help kill Secretary of State William Seward. The two were unsuccessful in their mission to assassinate Seward, though they did badly injure his son and Seward himself. After hiding out for several days, Lewis fled back to Mary Surratt's boarding house, where he was eventually arrested for his part in the plot. Lewis was later found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and treason and sentenced to death by hanging. His final words to a Washington minister reflect his regret for his actions. "My course is run," he said. "I now know how foolish, vain, and wholly useless it is, and must have been, and were I set at liberty this morning, I should hope to be dead by sunset, as all men must hereafter point to me as a murderer." Talk about some things you don't hear about every day. Some areas of North Alabama were affected by a power outage Wednesday that was eventually traced to a snake. The Marshall DeKalb Electric Cooperative, which serves about 19,000 customers, reported the outage shortly before noon. Areas in and around Boaz were affected by the outage. At first, the problem was believed to have originated with TVA. Then the cooperative notified its customers via social media that the culprit was found closer to home. It turns out a large snake had made its way into the Albertville primary substation and knocked out the majority of its system. Spoiler alert, it didn't end well for the snake. The state of Alabama will pay $1 million to the estate of slain Bibb County Deputy Brad Johnson, who was shot to death last year in the line of duty. Johnson, 32, was killed June 29, 2022, when he and Deputy Chris Poole were chasing Austin Patrick Hall in what was believed to be a stolen vehicle. Authorities said Hall opened fire on them. Johnson died the following day. Poole survived. Hall, now 27, was quickly arrested after the fatal shooting and was later indicted on 5 felonies. Governor Kay Ivey on Wednesday announced the settlement, saying fundamental flaws in the Alabama law granting correctional incentive good times to inmates failed Deputy Johnson and his family. Tommy James, the attorney representing Johnson's estate, said the settlement addresses allegations concerning the circumstances that led to the lawman's death. Those allegations focus on Hall's lengthy criminal history and the fact he was out of jail despite his record, which included an escape while he was in a work release program. James noted that Hall's criminal record included at least 46 charges and multiple jail stints. You can read more on the situation from Carol Robinson on AL.com. That's all we have for today. Check back tomorrow for all that's going down in Alabama. Hi y'all, I'm Lita Gore, filling in today for Ike Morgan for today's Down in Alabama. We're fresh off the July 4th holiday, so I thought it'd be the perfect time to talk about another holiday. Polly Holiday, that is. Polly Dean Holiday was born July 2nd, 1937 in Walker County, where she grew up with her sights set on stardom. She later attended Alabama State Women's College, that's now the University of Montevallo, where she excelled in theater before earning a master's at Florida State, then teaching music at Florida Public Schools. She spent her summers working in theaters across the Southeast before moving to New York in 1972. She landed some commercials and spots on soap operas, but her big break came when she was cast as Florence Jean Castleberry, the southern smack-talking, big orange-haired waitress at Mel's Diner in the sitcom Alice. Flo, as the character was known, became famous for her catchphrase, "Kiss my grits." She was the show's breakout star from 1976 to 1980, earning Emmy nominations in 1978, 1979, and 1980, and successive Golden Globes for her Best Supporting Actress in 1979 and 1980. Holliday left the cast of Alice in 1980 to head up her own show, Flo, earning an Emmy nomination in 1980 and a Golden Globe nomination in 1981 for Best Actress. Holliday continued to work steadily after leaving Flo, appearing on such shows as The Golden Girls, The Equalizer, Home Improvement, and The Client, as well as starring in multiple stage productions. In 1985, she endowed the Polly Holliday Scholarship Award, given out annually by the Southeastern Theater Conference to a deserving high school actor in the Southeast. Holliday, an Alabama native, turned 86 this week. Now let's look at what else is going down in Alabama. It looks like Fred the Tortoise is getting an eviction reprieve. A Rossbridge resident for 8 years, the tortoise has been a member of the Cannon household since he was Jaden Cannon's Christmas present in 2015. But tortoises aren't allowed in Rossbridge, and the Cannons said the development's homeowners association sent them a notice that Fred was being evicted. At the time Fred moved to Rossbridge, the family said, the development did not ban reptiles. And while the Rossbridge Homeowners Association didn't return a request for comment to AL.com on Friday, property manager Courtney Davis said in an email on Monday night that the Cannons can keep Fred. Now, funds were being raised to help Jaden fight the Rossbridge HOA through the sale of Save Fred t-shirts, but those proceeds will now go to a party for residents to meet Fred. Alabama has long celebrated the remarkable biodiversity within its borders, but having a huge number of species mean the state also has a large number of species at risk of extinction. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Alabama has 151 endangered or threatened species, the third most of any state. Only Hawaii at 484 species and California at 286 have more. Alabama's endangered species include slimy salamanders like the black warrior water dog, massive mammals like the West Indian manatee, and majestic birds like the whooping crane and red cockaded woodpecker. AL.com's Dennis Pillion details all you need to know about the animals at risk in Alabama. Be sure to check out the story. That's all we have for today. Check back with AL.com throughout the day for what's going down in Alabama.